Nancy, how's it going?
Good, Miss Brown. How are you?
Good. Is there anything that is going on right now that you'd like to discuss, or anything that you want to kind of share out with me right now that's on your mind?
Well, right now I'm a little behind as far as lesson plans go and planning out my lessons because right now I'm supposed to be on lesson 15, but with the changes in this classroom, I'm on lesson 5 of the new module.
Do you,
So
do you feel overwhelmed?
I don't feel overwhelmed. I just don't know how to plan it to where I'm not overwhelming the kids with content. Like, do I do should tomorrow? Like, should I do 2 lessons instead of one? Like, how do I play catch up for the scoping sequence?
Okay, for me, I feel like playing catch up is really difficult, especially in terms of math. I think math is a subject where you have to have mastery. That's why it's a good idea to look back at your unit plan. There is a scope and sequence and a set of criteria that you're supposed to follow. But as a teacher, you know when your kids have mastered it based on their exit tickets or assessments and that. So I would say please don't feel overwhelmed. If you need to slow down, do so, because a lot of times that stress that you're bringing upon yourself kind of gets transferred to your students. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I get that. Cause like today, like they had a quiz and it was like on the past 4 lessons. Cause I kind of want to see where they are before we move forward.
Yeah, you
So
want to do a lot of formative checks before you outright assess them, and sometimes it is overwhelming as a student. And I know for math, it's kind of like steps, and it's like a tiered thing. And I feel like in the situation that you're in coming in, sometimes maybe you do have to slow down and have that unit plan in mind. But teaching is a process of adjusting, modifying, and kind of going back. Does that help you a little bit to
it
feel a little more
does.
comfortable?
It does.
What do you think you can do in order to feel like you're at a good pace and that it's a reasonable pace versus, oh my God, I'm stressed?
Just see where my students are, like what they are retaining from the lessons, and then of course like the support I have between you and Miss Sproul and talking to my other colleagues in 5th grade, and you know, kind of just talking about it and more planning and getting feedback on what I should do, so I won't be overwhelmed.
And I kind of think that goes hand in hand with what we're going to discuss today. I noticed a lot of really positive things in your classroom when I came in. I thought that the tone and the demeanor of the students was really good as far as behavior. Most students were engaged in what they were doing, but one thing that I did notice was there wasn't a check where, you know, 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me, or, you know, if you hear my voice clap once, something like that. That's a quick way of getting students to recognize what you need them to do, because a lot of times we're under the impression that, oh, maybe they're not listening, maybe they're not doing what I want. A lot of times kids are really involved in the work,
Yeah.
and so you want to stop them so they know that your directions are meaningful. Because what I noticed, and I used to do this and sometimes I'm still guilty, there's a lot of direction repetition. And to save you the heartache and to save your voice, really,
Yeah.
give them some sort of a cue, 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me, or, you know, even a bell.
Okay.
And you can kind of make your centers and make what you're doing with IXL more accountable. I did notice that you were using a sheet. You said you need to write down the date. You need to write down where you were at. I like that. But maybe even for one of your centers, have it be something that is accountable, that they know by Wednesday or they know by Tuesday, I have to have mastered this.
Right.
You know that if your groups are differentiated, that probably they will be working at a different skill set. But just make sure to get back to the accountability piece, that your students are stopping, they're listening, and they're engaged in what you're saying. Because that's an easier way to get their idea of what the expectation is. Because a lot of times what I noticed was they were doing what you wanted them to.
Yeah.
It's just that when it was time to move on, they
Have
weren't
a hard
really
time
engaged in what you were
transition.
saying.
Yeah.
And that does take time. I recommend a bell, some sort of music maybe, if that class can handle it.
Right.
But I like that I did see students working in pairs.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was great. It's just the accountability piece, and that does go hand in hand with your curriculum and pacing. If you're assessing them at a level that they're mastering things, you can move a little quicker. But if you feel like a lesson is too heavy. Sometimes you have to kind of hone in.
I think fractions like have been like a big thing. Like even with the quiz, like I gave direction and I really didn't want to give direction on the quiz, but like for the first two they were like unlike denominators and I had to say like, hey, remember you have to find out what those two have in common before you just can't go adding them. And then once I said that, the kids like remember, what to do. So
One thing I know from teaching fractions, I taught it a number of years ago, but I will be honest, you have to go through a lot of the terminology.
yes.
The common denominator, the like sum, all those different terms, you have to kind of go through because numerator, denominator, even some of that gets a little sketchy.
It does. And I noticed like with this new curriculum with Engage New York, I've kind of had some not so easy, like I don't really like the layout of the curriculum basically because like how we learn like least common denominator and things like that, they don't use those terms in the lesson, but it's like I know that because I am familiar with the math, but it's just like coming up with the terminology to fit your kids rather than what the curriculum lays out for you to say.
You want to make sure that they're well versed in all the different
Yes.
terms. And I mean, what I would do is I would add it to the word wall. I would make sure that they're comfortable because a lot of times it does get presented in different ways of saying things, especially with fractions. It could be ratio, percentage, all those different terms, or the whole sum, all parts. You want to make sure that you have diagrams. I think for fractions, it's a good time to use a lot of manipulatives, a lot of different pieces and parts. It's a nice way also that you can do a lot of real life scenarios with money. I always used to bring in like pennies or like the cubes. I'm not sure if we have all that stuff on hand, but showing the thousands, the hundreds, the tens, and showing that spatial relationship
Right.
because really, Common Core, that's a lot of the stuff that's been shifted.
Yeah.
Is visuals and then having to be able to solve.
Right.
And not just being given all the answers of just have these two.
Right, because like with equivalent fractions, like it wasn't explaining how they want the students to generate a new fraction. So it was based upon
right, and that terminology right there is different. Generate a new.
That's generate. What the generate a new fraction, a different fraction.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, and then it's like with the sprints, like you have sprints on missing factors and stuff. They just want them to be quick and be fluent with it, and then apply it to the math.
And that's the thing is you kind of have to get them in the routine of knowing all your multiples.
Yeah.
So then they can go back as well as their factors. And I would always kind of like give factor trees and do prime factorization of numbers and have them when they're doing like fractions, have them make sure that they have the factors available so they know like what is common.
Right.
Because sometimes that just gets tricky in itself because if you have students that don't know multiplication facts, they don't know division.
They kind of get lost in the sauce basically. I went to 5 and Below and they have like a really good like fraction math book that I'm gonna start using for fluency. So it's like all fractions, like it's all 5th grade material.
Right.
So I've been trying to go and find like outside sources that could help like with the flow of the lesson and their understanding.
Yeah, because that's it. It's not all inside just one curriculum. A lot of times with math, what I found myself doing is searching online. I can give you some resources in that too. The one thing that I want us really to work on is coming up with what is going to be your cue. Like what is going to make students identify, hey, I've got to listen. Miss Yancy is speaking. Is it close your computers? 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Is it going to be music? What is going to get them to know that centers are over or that you really need this direction?
I know one thing that I've been doing since I've been back for the new year, just as far as getting their attention and me not having to raise my voice, is basically like if you hear my voice, like raise your hand. If you hear my voice, clap once. And that's been working. Like even in the hallway, because it's like, you don't want someone yelling and screaming at you. All day. It's not a good response. So I've really been trying just to have like a different tone, a different set,
And I feel like students, we said that, and Ms. Sproul can attest to that. Our students are mini little models of us, and I find myself over the years of like being new, that frustration and that yelling, they play upon that and they model that. If you're going to scream, at the top of your lungs, who's to say that you can say that's wrong to the kids around you?
Yes.
So if you kind of put that vibe out of I'm calm, I'm collected, we're structured, that's how your kids are going to model
if you
things.
like seem like you're all over the place and you're frustrated and not know what to do, then the kids are not going to respond well to that.
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, it's just so much as coming in and having the date correct or having the objective on point. If you don't have those things and you're not structured in your capabilities, unfortunately, kids get on to the weaknesses and they see.
And I've been really working on that, like as far as just being like on time, because I was like really bad at like being here at 8:45. So like now I've been like here an hour earlier, and I get time to go around the classroom and make it sure it seemed like somebody was here before you, like we're not walking in, like to get me being a first like year teacher, like I'm not a pro, so I really need to be structured. Like I didn't have my paper.
I would like you to stop saying that because you are a pro in many respects, and I want you to start having ownership of I can do this. These are things that I can take on and I can be tasked with. One thing I did really notice that I liked was there was a positive vibe in here. You just got to really mentor and foster that rapport and the relationship with the students and have it kind of be, this is how I want my classroom. And this is the tone that I want. And if I talk to students in a manner that I'm speaking to you, well, in fact, they're going to speak to one another in that tone. The same is true for discipline.
Yes.
It's easier to go over and kind of walk over to them and say, hey, I need you on task.
Right.
Then nobody understands, that anything's even going. Simply walking over sometimes, it's ownership. And so a lot of times it's all about circulating and being able to kind of see what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I just think for your sanity, and so you don't get overwhelmed because there's so many things all at once as a new teacher, I want you to focus on not being stressed out.
Yes.
Because like we said, the kids kind of buy into that stress.
Yes.
And they know.
Yes, they do.
We always sense weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you also to really focus on what is going to be my cue that my kids really need to know. And you always want kids to kind of explain back as well. So if you have new procedures in place, try them out and see how it goes. So then the next time I come in and I'm observing in that block right before you're doing the exit ticket and that, how do you get those kids to stop?
Right.
So do you have anything in mind? Do you want to try a bell?
I like the bell. I like the 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. Yeah, I like that.
4, 5, 6 finger on your lips. I believe
it is. That's cute.
It is cute. Sometimes it's better for younger kids, but it can work for older too.
Yeah.
You've got to find your niche and feel what works for you, because I'm always, if you hear my voice clap once, I think I've been doing that like 15 years.
And it works.
So it does work, but I should liven it up. And so I want you to find where you're comfortable with, because I think you'll get a lot more bang for your buck, and then that will stop having the directions going repetitiously, and you'll find, hey, you know what, this is working, or maybe I'll jazz it up and play something else.
Right. Yeah. And I think the music will work too. Like I did that downstairs.
It's fun. It's your own touch.
Yeah. So I just have to play around with that and figure it out.
And I mean, I'll be looking for that next time I come in. So that's going to be a major push. But I just don't want you to feel overwhelmed. And you can always contact myself or Ms. Sproul about curriculum. I feel like now that they've done NWEA, you'll kind of have a better idea of what you really need to hone in on, skill set wise.
And then we take ANAT one Thursday, Friday. So then that's been another thing too. I don't want to over test the kids, because today they had a quiz and they're testing. So yeah,
it is a lot. And once again, they kind of feel that frustration of having all these days sitting down and testing. And so I guess from my standpoint, you just kind of have to take it. There's certain things we can control. The standardized assessments that the district gives us.
We can. Yeah.
It's something you just have to kind of model and say, it really counts. You're doing this because it's helpful to see what you're going to have to do in the future to get into a good high school, a good college. So try to make it meaningful for the students.
Make it meaningful. I like that.
And try to add a connection and maybe tell them a story of how you had to take a toss.
Yeah.
And just make it meaningful so they understand that it has relevance. It's not just, I'm getting taxed with another task. Do you have any other questions, or how did you feel when we came in? Did you feel like it went pretty well?
Yeah, I do. Like, I really do like feedback because I feel like
Good.
there's so much that I can learn, like from other people that have been teachers way longer than I have. So I'm always open to feedback and knowing what I can do better.
It's really, yeah, and that's just really a positive idea to have, and I really like that. So I think that it's really a sound and foolproof way to make yourself better, because even with me, I know I can have somebody come in and address things, and it's just a really good idea to be open, because
Yeah.
teaching is that reflective piece. So I want you to work on the engagement,
Yes.
and then also let's just really not kind of de-stress.
Yes.
Maybe bring in some lavender. I smell that
Oh,
you have something
yes,
in the air.
yes.
So just
yeah.
a couple of quick things like that, and just, if you have to, just take a deep breath.
Yeah, you're right.
And I guess that's pretty much it. I will see you next week.
I will
Okay.
see you next time.
Thank you,
Miss
Miss Yancy.
Brown.
Thanks.